couple last questions. Let's change gears a little bit and talk about your own personal journey and also about leadership. Right before we started, you talked about an incident in your life that really was a shape or a significant defining moment in your life. Can you talk a little bit about the accident that you had and how that really affected your
that's
life?
great. About 25 years ago,
Yeah.
there was a major product liability issue with Ford Explorers and Firestone tires. My family inadvertently was part of that in its earliest stages. We were in a remote part of California or Colorado in the Rockies, and in a new Explorer, and had a Firestone tire blowout and rollover, and it was a pretty massive accident that affected my whole family emotionally. I was the only one injured physically, but my injuries were nearly fatal. Coming out of it, it was a pretty remarkable process that God used to reshape my thinking in terms of who I was and what I brought into use in the kingdom. I had a lot of orthopedic damage, but the significant risk was in a massive concussion and brain injuries that was something akin to what the NFL players have begun to experience with regard to traumatic brain injury. Some of the attributes of that were present. And what I just discovered from that is that some of the most challenging, undesirable, and if we could write the stories of our own lives, we would avoid them at all costs.
Yeah.
Those become incidents that are the points where God pivots in our life experience.
Yeah.
I've just found, Tommy, that so often that in the complacent or the continuing uprise of our lives where things are working, investments are paying off, anticipation is positive and growing, sometimes it's hard for faith to be really refined and exercised in those moments. It's in the downturns, a health turn, a dismissal from a high visibility leadership position, some astounding side blow that comes from the blind side that you never saw coming.
Yeah.
It's at those moments when it would be easy to walk away and say, God, you owe me more than that. Those are the moments where faith comes out as it did for Job. Even if he slays me, I'll serve him. And God pivots. And the pivots are the place where the remarkable stories emerge.
Yeah.
I've had a couple of those pivot points. My accident was one. Stepping away from a leadership position a couple of years later was another pivot point.
Yeah.
Where very often the same thing that would cause some other people to say, I'm taking the next exit and I won't be back, are the very moments when God instead says, if you'll stay on track and trust me, there's a pivot ahead that's going to be a positive lifetime impact that you're always going to look back on and celebrate. But it will be a while before you get there.
And honestly, Bob, even as you and I interact on this, I was diagnosed with cancer in January, and people still ask me, how did you see Jesus in the midst of it? And I have had to say to them, I don't know.
Right.
I still don't know. And I hated every minute of it. And during those times, if I allowed my sinful heart to think through it, I would have gotten frustrated at God. But I had to cling on the truths of Scripture. And if I believed that Scripture was true, I had to believe that Jesus and God wanted what was best for me and trust Him. And also believe that how He's worked with me all my life has brought me to where I am, and cling upon those memories of when He was trustworthy.
Right on.
Yeah.